Alright, so looking at this is what we run last class until on last tutorial. So I actually talked about indentation in Python. So let's see what happens if we actually mess around with the index of this code. For example, if I hit a tab right here and try to run Python 3 list, I think so .py, you can see I have a syntax error. It say unexpected indent, probably on line 5, and you see it's so which means that Python is very sensitive when it comes to indentation. So you should really take note of that. So under this, if you actually using a tab, you can see that this is a tab. You shouldn't go ahead and just do something else like this. So but even though if you write something like print I, so Python should be able to yell at us and say, why are we doing that? So you can see we have another error, say unexpected indent on a particular line. So that's actually very important to take in place. All right, let's just go ahead and deep right into some method in list and see what we can actually do with list. I'm still coming back to explain the magic that happened here, but let's just go ahead and move on. All right, I'm going to clear this off. So if I actually do my list dot, so my list dot actually return all this method. You can see all this kind of method the list inherit, which I'm not going to actually talk about everything, but probably I will be able to talk about the one that are very important. So the first one I'm going to talk about, the first one that actually appears, which is the append. So what the list actually do, talking about append, let me remove this, is that you can actually go ahead and append something into the list. For example, we can append Kotlin. Okay, we can just, sorry, Kotlin, not Kotlin. So can append Kotlin like that. Do we have, we didn't actually try to print the list. So let's just say print my list, and if you see, you can see Kotlin is now being added to the back of our list right here. So if I actually copy this for a couple of times again, I can append another program language, like maybe I can put Node. Okay, this is just another version of JavaScript. So you can see everything is actually being able to append to the end of this node. So that's how the append method works. So let's say I have my programmer. So my programmer is actually another list. Then each of these, then we actually want to add the programmers to all these guys. So we can actually do something like maybe John, we can do we can do Jane, and we can do Jane, Jimmy, like that. So let me just clear up these. So we've seen the append already, which shouldn't really be bothering that. So no one listen now actually look at this, that we have two lists. So we have the list of the programming language, then the corresponding what's called programmer to it. All we can actually do with this is that we can say okay, go ahead and join these two lists together. So how do we join the two lists together? So it's very simple. We just say my list dot then extend. So we are extending to my programmer like that. So that is how we can actually go ahead and extend the value of these are what's called, these are our lists. Then we can keep this in my, so okay, info, my info like that. So this my info actually holds information about the programming languages and the programmers. So right here we can come down right here and say print my info. So that should be able to return what we have just been able to manipulate. Okay, sorry, it's saying none. Okay, what's that? I think it actually takes effect on this already. That's my bad. There is already an effect on that, so we can just say print my list, sorry. Okay, so let me run this again. So now you see that it has now what's it called, throwing extend to each other. So we have C++, Java, PHP, Python, John, Do, then Jane, and that. I think there is another method if I didn't forget. Let me just try this lock. I think my list, or let me just sort of sometimes like that. Okay, it's not actually here. I will actually definitely find it. I will actually bring it up. So those are things I wanted to understand about the use of what's it called, the use of lists. There are still a lot of stuff that we can do with lists. At least as America, we can say we can clear the list, so then we can print my list now. So we are trying to use the clear right before we call my list. You see what happened? You can see we deleted everything inside the inside the list, so we are able to delete it right now. So that's what the clear does. Then we can actually pop. So when we actually said my list.pop, my list.pop is actually going to delete the last one, so starting from the back, and that's the Python. Let's go ahead and run this again. You can see the Python is gone out of the list, so all we have now is just the three of them. So if we actually try to call it 2 times, then we should know the Python and the PHP will be gone, then which remains the Java and what's it called, and the C++. So what I was trying to do before I was losing my mind, let me just do it again. So we can just say my info is equals to my list dot copy. So this is actually going to copy every information inside my list and put it inside my info. So right now my info is actually having everything that that my list does have. So let's just say something. So you can see I try to print my info, and it's actually the same thing as it's the same thing as the as the my list. So if you actually manipulate anything inside my list, it's not going to affect my info. That is how it works. So it allows you to copy, to have a copy version of of your list. So this is actually very handy. This is very handy when it comes to probably you are working with data, and you need to back up some kind of data. Then you manipulate the original data, so when you have problem with the original data, you can come back to what you have back up with, so you get the idea of what is actually moving on. So let's see some methods that we can see again. My info, sorry, my list dot, we can count, so we can look for the index of a particular thing. We can insert. Let's just do some insert. So I'm just picking it up randomly. So what do we want to insert? Let's insert the Java program language again. We can insert C, so C or C sharp. Like, we can try to do that. Let's just do my list and see what is actually pop up to right here. So around this, let's see what's up. They say insert takes a natural argument but got one. Yeah, and that is because when we are trying to insert, we need to specify the index that we are inserting this variable with. So what index are we inserting? Let's say insert on 0 like that. Let's see. I've actually wrote this for a very long time, but I believe it should work. So it works. So what actually happens is that we insert this on index of 0, so which means we start from 0, then we say put C, which is make sure C is the first one, and you can see C is actually the first one. It's actually the first one right here. I think this is what I'm referencing to. It's actually the first one right here. Let me remove this convincing. Okay, is actually what I'm referencing to here. And if you count 0 1 2 3, so if I say 4, it's going to insert at the last position. Let's just try that, and you can see it's now inserted at the last position. So that's how the inserts work. So index, so we can actually look for an index of something. So index of C++, so that one should return exactly where, I think index of C++ should actually return something. So we can say my index is equals to, then let's just print my index. Okay, let's see what we've got. Alright, you can see C++ is sitting down on index of 0 and is able to return the index where C++ is sitting down with for us. So let's just search for PHP to make this thing easy. So if I run this, you can see PHP is sitting down on 2, and that is right, 0 1 2. So that's actually right. There are really a lot of methods. Let me just look up some others like my list, the remove, reverse. Yeah, we can actually reverse the list, so which means that we can sort it. Let me just see what we have actually done with that by reversing it. So list like that, just go ahead and do this. You can see we actually reverse it. Instead of starting from C++, is now starting from Python to PHP to Java, then like that. So let's just do something like my list, the sort, and that should give us what's it called, the original version of the list again, because it's actually been reversed before, and right now we sort it out alphabetically according to the way it's supposed to be sorted. So we've actually talked about some little kind of of method. My list, there are really a lot of methods right here that we can actually go ahead and explore. And I'll just show you something that is very interesting with Python, is that once you feel like you actually come across any method and you don't understand it, there is a way Python itself can actually teach you to understand this method, and this is what is actually been helping me to understand how Python actually works. So for example, let's just say my list, there something. So I'll just pick one that we have not talked about. We've talked about counts. Have we talked about counts? I don't think so. So my list.count. So if I run this, let's say I run into some issue right here, say it takes arguments, and I for example, probably you don't understand the arguments it actually takes, so you can just do something in Python called help. So you can call for Python's help. So okay, Python help, then you pack whatsoever you are looking for and put it inside the help function like this. So if you just go ahead and run the program again like this, oh, say help takes another function argument, you don't need to call the help, you can just leave it like this dot help, then it should be able to work. So you can see Python actually return an help to me. It's a help on built-in function count, then it's actually looking for a value, then right here it's, I think it's for something. So method for built-in list instances return like that, return number of occurrence of value. So return number of occurrence of a particular value. So it's actually expecting something from us. If you press Q, so you should be able to exist out, then I know how to use this now. So what am I actually looking for? So it's actually asking me for a value. Let me just maybe it's action for C++. So if we run into issue again, we can also look for help. Alright, I'm just from Python 3 list. You can see we didn't actually look for any we didn't actually have any error anymore, so we get the idea now. So we can just do print whatsoever it is in this count. Sorry, that's my bad. You can see we have 1. So that is how it works with Python. So let's see what we have with PHP. I think, okay, how many of it is actually exist? I think that's what it's trying to return. So let's see. So this one is 1 2, so probably let me see if I can have another PHP here, then see how it works. I'm just guessing this. No, it's 2. So count actually counts how many occurrence of a particular value, and that is what it is even telling us. As my bad, how can I forget something like that? That's too late. That's too bad for me. Okay, so what you actually do is that it's counting the how many times a particular value occur in the list. So that's why it works. Alright, see you in the next tutorial.